This is the Garden of English. I'm Tim Freitas, and today I'm having a conversation with a former student of mine, and we're going to talk about what you can expect when you're coming into an AP English class. When we'll talk about Lang, and we'll talk about Lit. So, come hear what my friend Darnell has to say. All right, I am here with my friend Darnell, who just completed his first year of college. Isn't that true?
Yep.
And we are going to talk to you about what I mentioned in the intro to this video. But before we do, I wanted to give a huge shout out to the Garden of English Patreon supporters. You're going to be able to see their names like right here or something when I edit the video. And we do want to just let them know that we appreciate them. If you're interested in supporting the Garden of English through Patreon, please check out the video that's up in the corner and that way up there. But also know that our Patreon plans are like changing just because the business that we're doing is changing. So, but we do appreciate the support, and if you're willing to support, hey, we're happy to have it. But without further ado, Darnell, tell us about you.
Hi guys, my name's Darnell. Like you said, I go to Vassar College. I'm a bio major, yet to declare, on the pre-med track, so I don't get too much English, but there's definitely room for some.
Right, and so what I wanted to do here, Darnell, is that, first of all, how did your first year go?
The first year was difficult. Academically, the science, the STEM classes, those are tough, but it was good.
But the
Finished
humanities
well.
class were super easy because you took AP English, right?
It was.
There we go. So now I just want to try to work here to just contextualize for a lot of kids that are out there that are like wondering about AP or they're nervous about going into AP, especially if they're like, I don't have the right background or anything like that. My first question for you is this, right? Before going into AP English language as a junior, how much like rhetorical knowledge did you have going into that particular course?
So starting rhetoric, it was junior year. Anything before that was just grammar. It was all diagramming sentences, all that. So we never had any experience writing essays, rhetorical analysis, nothing like that.
Gotcha. But you also did literary studies before that too, right?
Right.
Okay, so you've had the literature and the grammar, but the actual rhetoric was something new. So.
Correct.
Sometimes there are schools with really strong vertical teams where kids have a lot of rhetorical background and they can go into AP Lang really, really confident. But you would suggest that, hey, the content for AP Lang was pretty new.
Right.
Well, tell us about that. What's the content like in AP Lang that's a little bit different than the literature side of things? Well, try to remember, I should say.
Okay. It was weird having to read a passage and then extract the meaning from the passage because that's not something that we did typically. We had often done summaries, and we never really asked the question why, which was the key point of AP Lang. And I remember getting papers back from you, and you just have, what letter is it? Your grading system is?
Yeah, the 9C.
9C is
there
just why. They explain why.
Why?
Yeah.
Give me more commentary,
Exactly.
right?
And that's just unnatural for us. Well, like we think we know why without having to explicitly express it.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part about going in.
So let's talk about writing though, right? So you're in college now, and AP Lang is supposed to be like the equivalent of a freshman college English course.
Right.
What has kind of been brought with you to college to make those humanities classes seemingly a little bit easier? Besides the fact that you now call me when you're writing
Yeah.
your papers. But what do you think? What are some of the things that transferred from AP Lang in terms of writing skills that have helped you in college that you might have seen your peers struggle with or anything like that?
Right. So at Vassar, everybody's required to do a first-year writing seminar. It can be in any department, but it goes through the writing process.
Mm-hmm.
And the first class, maybe 2 classes, the professor will explain what makes a good paper, and you'll go through all of the steps that you go through in AP Lang about how to write a good rhetorical analysis based on the reading. And even for AP Lit too, it's very similar. And they expect you, they have the class to teach you, but they really expect you to know it because they'll spend maybe an hour total talking about what you need to do to perform well in the class and to write a good paper. Yeah, I think I took pretty much everything with me. I even took my binder with me because because I know I'd refer back. Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, what about though? So you get there, they actually expect you to know how to write a good paper, and you said they start with a rhetorical analysis. But what about research? Like, do you do research papers in college too?
We do have to do research papers for the STEM classes, especially. You'll do more research papers for the humanities side, the English side. you'll do a lot more rhetorical analysis, more of the AP Lang and Lit style.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, during our AP Lang year, when we went through the writing process, right, you were required to write a 7-page paper.
Right.
And how did that fit in helping prepare you for college as you went through that kind of paper writing process as opposed to some of the peers that you had?
Right. So college gets really busy really fast. You think, oh, I only have 4 courses, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You'll spend most of your time studying. And I felt that with the STEM classes, that took a lot more of my energy. So I could almost leave the English papers to be like okay, I know how to do that. I can leave that to last. Not procrastinating.
Right. Yeah, that's not going to help.
Yeah, no, not procrastinating. Just knowing that you already know how to do something, so you don't have to dedicate all your time and energy to that, because you know that's going to go quick. That's going to be a breeze.
Right, and I remember you actually giving me a call in the middle of the year, and you were like, all right, you were right. I have to admit it. And you were talking about how one of your friends was complaining about, like, oh, my word, we got to write this 7-page paper, or we have to go through whatever. And you were like, what? Like, I can do that in no time.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that kids can expect as they go into AP Lang, that they're going to learn the writing process. And because you experienced it as a junior and then also went through it again as a senior, in drafting these kind of longer papers, even if it were even just a 5-page paper, though, going through that process, that was one less thing that you had to learn how to do on top of actually understanding a lot of new content. Right. And you know, it was nice for me to get the phone call when you were like, yeah, you told me so. Okay, yeah. Right, move on. And then I just wanted to rub it in. That's why I invited you to come on here and talk about it. So for AP Lang, we do our rhetorical analysis. We write our arguments and whatnot. But then we switch to AP Lit. And I certainly got an interesting phone call from you at the beginning of the at the beginning of the school year last year when you were writing a literature when you were writing a lit paper.
Oh, right.
Do you remember that phone call? Tell me what that was like.
I think, my professor it's just like the first or second week of school, and my professor had assigned, I think it was 5 to 7 pages on a bunch of readings that we had done. We could pick one.
And this was fiction, right?
This was fiction.
Right.
Yes.
So please note, even though you all might be going into STEM majors or whatnot, right? You still have to take literature courses and humanities courses in college, right?
Yep.
So, like, why not take AP Lit? Don't just take AP Lang, take AP Lit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, take it away.
So he was explaining how he wanted the papers formatted, and I was so used to doing one thing, like just the structure that we had, that what he said threw me off a bit, and I just my opinion, I do think it was a little off. I know you disagree, because he wanted us to do a lot of summary, and I was like, when we want to bring in the text, we can just do that at the beginning of the paragraph and then analyze it. So if you go chronologically, you'll follow through the story. Yeah. But he wanted a full summary at the beginning. So, I mean, summary is fine. You know how to do summary. But then the conclusion hit, and I was like, we need to leave a glass slipper. And he was like, just restate your points. You can run back through it. I was like, there's no chance you're giving me.
And if you don't know what Darnell is referring to as a glass slipper, you're gonna want to watch my conclusion videos for my AP Lang and AP Wit stuff, and you can check those out in the right up there in that little card that shows up there. But so you're having this like existential crisis. We're like, oh, my glass slipper, right? Yeah. And he wanted just a summary.
Yep.
And then what did you actually choose to do?
I left a glass slipper, and he loved it. It was totally fine. You can hit all your main points again, but still leave a glass slipper. Depending on your professor, just how they grade, you might want to stick to what they say. But I couldn't help myself.
Right.
I had to.
Now, to be clear, right? When I got this phone call from Darnell earlier in the year, he called me and he's like, oh my gosh, he's like, I just feel like I'm not writing to my potential with the directions for this assignment. And sure enough, it was interesting to me because I was like, why are you complaining? This seems to be an easier assignment. Yeah. And you're like, I just don't know if I can do it, if I know how to, if I even know how to. And it was thrilling for me when you got your comments back and you sent me a picture of the page and he was like, this conclusion is awesome, nice conclusion, right? Exactly. And I was like, I told you, yeah. I told you. And it was a good I told you so moment. So let's actually just think back, right? Because we're thinking back over 3 years now. If you were to say to a kid who's like apprehensive about going to AP English Language, which is the rhetoric and argument course, or AP English Lit, which was the lit course, what would you say? Here's what you need to expect, and then because we already know now, we know how does this actually look in college. What do you actually need to expect when you go in, no matter if you're taking Lang or Lit?
you need to be ready to explain yourself and defend yourself, even when it seems your reasoning seems obvious to you. You need to convey that explicitly on the paper.
Gotcha. And that's
the
for
biggest thing.
for Lang
That's
for sure.
both, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's for college too, because I remember sitting with some of my friends in school, and they'd be like, Darnell, can you help me write this paper? And I was like, sure. And then I'd be like, okay. We go through it, and I'd be like, okay, right here you need to explain yourself. And they'll be like, I already explained myself. It's obvious. I was like, that's exactly. You need to
That's the
explain
problem.
the obvious part.
That's right. And
Exactly.
it's not because the person that's reading it is stupid, but it's because in order to do critical thinking, we have to extrapolate that.
Right.
What else? What else though? Is there anything else that we could say? Hey, you know what? Is there anything about workload? Is there anything about content that you're like, oh, just make sure that you are prepared for A, B, C, or D. And if not, that's fine. I'm just wondering.
You need to be able to. You'll get used to writing faster than you've ever written before. I remember you told us.
For sure.
You told us.
Right.
I was like, there's no way I'll be able to write a full essay, intro, body paragraphs, conclusion, in 40 minutes.
Right.
I was like, there's no way.
Or 3 hour or 3 essays in 2 hours and 15 minutes, right?
Sure,
On day one,
exactly,
that's intimidating.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to really, it sounds so cliche, but really just trust the process. You'll get there. It becomes so quick, and so it becomes second nature. So that's why I said earlier that when you're doing it in college, you can save it till later. You don't have to stress about it. If you've gone through it and you've practiced, you can
Right.
bang these out in a quick amount of time.
Right. Now, let me ask you one last question, okay? When you're in college and you produce a paper, how long does it take for you to get it back from your professor?
I'll only see my grade at the end of the semester usually, and nothing's
Nice.
changed from high school, which is totally fine. So that I was used to that. I was used to
All right.
getting my grades at the end.
Yeah,
It's
my
just
fault,
just a
my
surprise
bad.
at the
I
end.
get it, right? But that is one of the things that I also wanted to kind of articulate, right? Is that in college, a lot of times feedback is not necessarily
Right.
immediate, and you might just get your midterm and your final.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your midterm, your final, and your major paper,
Yeah.
and that major paper might not come back in anytime soon.
Right.
And as you well experienced in my classroom, nothing ever came back anytime soon, and
Right.
it just was what it was. So, any final words? And if the answer is no, like I said, that's fine. That you want to give anybody about, hey, if you're thinking about doing AP stuff, because I know that you also took other AP courses. Was it just AP Physics, or you
It
take
was
any other ones?
AP Physics, I think, Calc.
Yeah, you took AP Calc, right?
I took AP.
Yeah. Anything that you want to tell kids in general about taking multiple APs, or any, like, hey, you're going to AP, here's what you got to do to, not based on English content, but just the idea of taking AP classes that you're like, hey, if you keep this in mind, you really can put yourself in a successful position.
Right. A lot of times in high school, you get sucked into the qualifying score. I just need a qualifying score. College will take it for credit, and then I'll be done with it.
Yeah.
But no. You can get it for credit, but a lot of schools, my school, my sister's school, they all require, a lot of them, require freshman writing seminars. So they can give you a basis of how they expect you to write for the next 3 years of your schooling,
Yep.
or however many years. So you don't want to just focus on the score, because everything you do in AP Lang, AP Lit, even if you don't major in English, because I'm not majoring in English, but I had to write a paper for chemistry, and
And I got a phone call, just
And
so
of
everybody
course you
knows,
got a
right?
phone call.
I get a phone call. How do I write my conclusion, right? And I always tell my students, you can't bring me to college with you, but apparently Darnell is like, you know what? We're good. And
Yeah,
it's
just
totally
one
fine.
call away.
That's right. That's right. But what about AP in general? Because I know you took the AP Calc and the AP Physics. Was there something that you were like, you know what? Besides the advice of don't just have the qualifying score in mind, is there anything else that it's like, hey, if you do this, this is what success looks like. It's not the score, it's something else.
if you can manage your time with the workload of AP courses,
Yep.
and you're taking multiple AP courses in any given high school year, you'll be more prepared for college academics, because, like I said, you'll only have like 4 courses maybe,
Yeah.
but each course is gonna it's gonna have a workload like an AP class, if not more.
Right. So why not experience it now,
Right.
as opposed to when you're paying so much money,
Exactly.
and then just learning that and all the new content and things like that.
So you'll
yeah.
get used to it in high school, and then in college you'll be fine. Like, college academically, it's difficult, but the workload is not the difficult part. You'll get used to the workload, and you can manage it fine, and
Yeah.
you'll be set.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how different college is than high school. But if you give yourself in high school some of those college moments of what that
Right, right,
workload
right.
will look like, or what that content will look like, it can actually when you get to college, it can lower the stress level at least a little bit. It's not
absolutely.
like college isn't stressful, but
Right.
it can at least prepare you and be like, oh, I've done this before, so we should be all set. So,
Exactly.
hey, listen, I tell you what, I really appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you also not roasting me with memes the entire time that you typically send me
Yeah.
via text or Instagram. But it was an absolute pleasure. Folks, if this video was helpful for you, we're going to ask that you help support the Garden of English by clicking like or subscribe. That's the easiest way that you can support us. You can also check out the merch that we have at thegardenofenglish.com. And we've got some cool t-shirts and posters and stickers and stuff there. Once again, Darnell, oh, by the way, are you on like Instagram or Twitter or anything like that when you want to put your handle down there so people can reach out to you?
Sure.
I mean, anybody can reach out to Darnell for any AP, college and AP advice.
Is it okay if would you throw it up there?
Yeah, I'll throw it up here, or I'll
Okay,
throw it.
sure.
Where do you want it? I
Oh,
can put
you
it across the bottom.
You
Where
can
do
put it. You can put it right here. Anywhere.
All right.
Here.
And what
Yeah.
what is it? Where do you,
Uh,
on Instagram or you on Twitter?
Instagram, Darnell WOR3.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Okay, and if you want to reach out to Darnell, then reach out to Darnell, and he can give you any college advice, and you can spam his account and things like that. So, thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to have you. And now we're gonna go eat some dinner.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one.